Hello, hello, hello. So I talk about threesomes a lot, lots of videos on threesomes, and I get a lot of people asking me, well, what if, there's a lot of insecurity. What if my partner falls for the other guy? What if my partner falls in love with the other man? I'm talking about MFMs at this point. It could be MFFs as well. Male, female, male, male, female, female threesome. So you are a couple and you bring a third into the group, right? And there's that concern that what if my partner falls for this other person, whether my partner who's my male partner falls for him, if he's bisexual and something happens, or the female partner falls for him, and and then what happens? You get left alone, and and your relationship is destroyed, right? What happens when that takes place? Or is that something to fear? A lot of people are worried about that possibility. I want to talk a little bit about this because in my situation, it was a threesome that got quite complicated. I'm going to tell you why it got so complicated, so that you can understand this scenario of one person comes in. Is that going to complicate your relationship? Now listen, if you are thinking about having a threesome and you've been talking about it with your partner, or you haven't quite yet talked to them about it, but you would really like to tell them, then you need to get my Threesome Formula program. It's an online, step-by-step, do-it-yourself program. Link in the description below, link up here. It will really help you move from step to step, being able to talk about it with each other and everything that you can expect along the way. So what happened was, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a background, and then I'm going to get into the complicated aspect of the threesome. So my husband came out, he is now my ex-husband, but he came out as bisexual in our 13-year mark. And I was shocked, very, very shocked, that he was having these feelings, and I didn't quite know what to do at first, but I thought about it for a long time, and I decided that, well, I don't really want to leave him. I love him, and we have a lot of great parts of our relationship. A lot of our relationship is really, really good, and I really love it. But this sexual side of it, he wants to explore, and he had actually already started to explore. And I thought, what about me? Like, I would like to explore as well. So I decided, hey, let's open the relationship. What do you think of that? And he was quite shocked that I had that idea. He thought I was going to run away and leave him. But I don't believe that having different desires is a reason for leaving your partner. I think if you love each other and you have a lot of years together, we've had 13 years, then you have to figure it out. Try to find a way that it's going to work. And for me, it was like, well, I would like to explore as well, so let's do that. So we decided, let's open our relationship. Well, we didn't really know what that would mean, or what we would do, or what would be the first step even. But we decided that, okay, he was interested in exploring with men and seeing what that was all about, and I was interested in exploring with men. So let's do a threesome, you and I, and we bring another third in, a bisexual guy. So we started meeting men online through mostly Craigslist and some online platforms, and just talking to people. And then we would set up a no-play meeting. So it was either a coffee or a drink, just to meet somebody in the flesh before a final decision was made. So many times it went really well, and we really liked the person. And then the next step after that was trying to figure out when would be a good time to have a threesome, where we would have it, is everybody on the same page at the same time. And we had a lot of different threesomes with various different people. But there was one guy that when we first met him, we both thought, wow, this guy is really stable, really like our age, very interesting, easy to talk to, easy to get along with. And so we decided, yeah, let's have a threesome with him. So, and he had an apartment, a really nice apartment, so he was, mature. And we had a great time with him the first time we got together. It was just, went really smoothly. It was really fun. We all liked each other. He actually wasn't bisexual, but he was bi-friendly, so it still worked. So then we met him a number of times. Over a period of a year or so, we met him probably every month or so, we would meet with him and have an experience with him. And we started to do kind of role playing scenarios with him as well. And we did, not just in the apartment, we went out to the park and did like a late night kind of threesome thing. And yeah, when I say role play, we did some fun role plays with him as well, like the two teachers and the naughty schoolgirl, and variety of things. If you want to know more detail about things that I have done, join my Patreon account. That's where I tell these stories in more detail, where there's more freedom to say a lot more detail in storytelling. But I want to get to the point here. So this guy, we met him quite a few times, and I really liked him. My husband liked him. We didn't socialize that much. It was more just getting together, having a threesome, a little bit of chit chat after. And then my husband and I were kind of switching it up a little bit, because he was going out and meeting men on his own, and I kind of felt like, I also wanted to have that experience, to go off with a guy on my own. But I wasn't interested in just any man. I wanted to know the person. I wanted to feel comfortable with them. Yeah, and that's just the kind of person that I am. So I suggested, well, maybe I can meet up with this guy that we've been meeting. We both know him. We feel comfortable with him, and it could be really great. And my husband agreed. Yeah, okay, we'll do that. Well, yeah, I think that would be great for you. You could have that experience, and so we were both allowing each other to fulfill our desires. And I had a really great time with him on my own. We got along really well. We had a really nice connection, and we had really good conversation as well. Sometimes we would just go for a walk and then have a little fling in his apartment, and then I would go home, and I would have to tell my husband everything that happened, and that's fine. That was fun too. But you see, it started to develop into a deeper relationship. It wasn't just this one-off experience and goodbye. All of those experiences that we had, the one-offs, goodbye, that was it. I mean, there's no emotional attachment that comes with that. It was just the play, it was the fun, it was spicing up us as a couple, being with a different person. But if you have somebody that comes in and you meet them over and over and over again, you get to know them, you start to like each other a lot, you start to hang out, you might come together, like do what we did, where one of you goes off with them for a while. And I started to really, really care about him, and he fell in love with me. So his feelings were getting really complicated, and my feelings were not that complicated, because I felt like my husband was a certain type, very, very energetic, very creative, very wild and fun, and I love that about him, and that's why we were primary partners. And this guy was much gentler, much slower, much more sensuous, and so it kind of, for me, was a really nice balance. And I'm like, wow, maybe I'm getting into this and getting into polyamory a little bit here. That could be interesting. What is that going to be like? And I was starting to think about this idea of maybe having this polyamorous situation, where I wanted to stay with my husband in the core relationship, but I had a man I loved and would have sex with, and every once in a while we would get together. That was what I wanted. But the two men had very, very different ideas. So this is when it starts to get complicated, because you're dealing with lots of emotions. 3 people now. And the third man was falling in love with me. He wanted more of me, and my husband did not want to share me with anybody. So it started to get complicated in that way, and we had to start to deal with this situation, and I felt like I was kind of stuck in the middle between these two. I knew which choice I wanted. I wanted to be with my husband, but I also really loved the balance that this other man created in my life, and I did love him. He was an amazing person, and he created a balance between me and my husband. But it had to eventually end, because my husband did not like what was happening, and he was getting too attached, and he really needed to find somebody of his own that he could really love and be with full on, which he did. About a year later, he did find a woman, and he got married. So his heart opened being with me, and then he eventually found somebody that he could really be with full time. And my husband and I had a little figuring out to do there, but we realized, well, my husband realized that for him, polyamory was not something that he wanted to entertain. He just wanted just the two of us, and it was all play with everybody else. For me, I could go either way. I like the idea of polyamory. Um, because I think love keeps expanding and expanding and expanding, and it was actually benefiting me in my relationship with my husband, having another person there, just to balance it. You know, one person, it's difficult for one person to give you everything that you need, every bit, every single bit that you need. It's not even possible, right? So that's just my take on it. So I just wanted to let you know the story that when you are entertaining having a threesome, don't worry about this attachment happening on a first date. Just go for the experience. An attachment can take place over time. This was a period of over 2 years before that attachment actually happened. I mean, it could happen sooner than that, but you have to meet someone, get to know them, spend time with them. You're talking about, you know, maybe you've been with your partner, and I had been with my partner for 13 years. That's a long time of development of a relationship that we had, and a trust and a connection. Somebody else coming in, it's going to take time for something to actually develop. So that's the way that a threesome can become complicated. Again, if you are interested in threesome, you're diving into threesomes, but you're not quite, haven't quite done it yet, then get my Threesome Formula. It's really helpful. It breaks down all the steps that you need to go through. What ask you a lot of questions about what you're feeling at that time, gets you and your partner talking a lot about what's going on for each of you, and it's really important to be on the same page as a couple when you're doing different forms of sexual exploration. So thank you very much for being here, and I will see you again very soon. Much love making.